First Timothy 6, looking at verse 11. But you, man of God, flee from all this and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. Now, flee from all of this. Well, he's talking about all those negative things that he's written about that primarily have to do with a mistaken idea that godliness is a means to wealth and financial gain is the actual two words that we have translated there. No, Paul writes, godliness with contentment is great gain, but godliness is not a means to financial gain. And there are all kinds of problems that are connected to the misunderstanding that your financial wealth is the result of godliness. So anyway, okay. But the last thing he says, some people, this is back in verse 10, some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. And I talked about that last time. These are unnecessary griefs. There's nobody to blame for them but themselves. And then, but you, man of God, flee from all this. A couple of things. One of the things that Paul wrote to Timothy that leads us to believe that Timothy was a young man was back when he said, don't let anyone despise your youth. Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. But in your life and your teaching, the way you conduct yourself demonstrate that you are committed to Christ and you're his man. And here Paul says, but you, man of God. I remember when I was a young guy in ministry, I remember there were a lot of people that never wanted, it seemed like to me, that they never missed an opportunity to remind me, I'm a young guy, you're just a kid. One of the things that sticks in my mind, and this probably is why I should be in therapy. One of several reasons. But anyway, we were at the grocery store, and a little old lady, as a member of the church, who, I don't know, she thought she was cute and witty, and I did not find her so quite cute and witty. Anyway, we were at the grocery store, and there she was, and she said to the cashier, well, here's our little baby minister down there to the church. Gosh. I was there for 5.5 years. I was always her baby minister. I mean, not that I ministered to babies. That wasn't the point. I'm a little baby. I'm just a kid. And we're helping him out, right? Oh boy. That was not very much fun. No, let me rephrase that. That was no fun at all. There were a lot of days I dreaded because I knew the filter that was going to be used on me was, oh, you're the young guy. You're our baby. Okay, I know I'm young, but I got ideas. I have passion. And oh, by the way, I'm pretty smart. Yeah, and you can tell I had probably more than a healthy amount of hubris and pride. Yet, even with that, I would have it would have been so helpful to me. And in fact, there were one or two people who treated me in the way that I see Paul treating Timothy when he says, but you, man of God. There's a way, in my opinion, Paul is saying, hey, Timothy, you're not a kid. You're a full-grown man. And you're not just a man, you're a man of God. There were a few people in my life when I was young who referred to me to my face and treated me as though I were a man of God. I was a man, and I was a man in pursuit of God. I had all kinds of weaknesses and shortcomings and impulsivity and immaturity and all the things that young people have. But man, I really was sincerely in pursuit of God in my life and in ministry. And well, Paul refers to Timothy as a man of God. Whoever you are, whatever your age, this should be, and I know that's a strong term, but my hope and prayer is that I will be referred to as and thought of as a man of God. You don't accidentally be thought of in those ways and spoken of in that way. If people are going to think of me and refer to me as a man of God, it will be because I've pursued God. And I want that to be the case. I want that for every man in my life. All my friends, all my male friends, I want them to pursue God so that they will develop, they will build a reputation that people will think of them and refer to them as a man of God. When I was younger, one of my struggles was I was constantly wondering, am I good enough? Am I doing this good enough? And then, no, it wasn't good enough. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to leave a mark. I wanted to... Now I'm old. And I do still want to leave a mark. But you know what? I'm anonymous. I realize that. People are not beating down my door to get me to come and talk and share my wisdom. You got, a handful of people that watched Soul Care with Stevie Boy, and I don't have notoriety. I kind of learned how to get over that. I'm not finished learning, but I'm learning how to get over that. See, life and ministry may involve notoriety and fame. They might. For some people, yes, but it hasn't for me. What I want my life to be about is that somehow I model, I am a man after God. I do this imperfectly. So do you. But I love that Paul referred to Timothy not as my young protege. I mean, other places he calls him my son in the faith. But now he says, Timothy, man of God, as though we are shoulder to shoulder in this battle. But you, man of God, flee from all this. So if you're going to flee from all of this, you're running from something. But it's always a good idea, if you're running from something, to run to something. And here Paul, he elaborates. Pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. 6 things. I'm a sucker for biblical lists. And here we have a pretty significant list. Things to pursue. Before we look at these individually, let's think about, what does pursuit look like? When Paul says pursue these 6 things, what in the world does that look like? Well, these are all character qualities. They involve behaviors and activities, but they don't start with behaviors and activities. They start on a motive level, on a heart level, on a character level. Pursue righteousness. To pursue anything requires intention. You don't accidentally pursue stuff. You may find yourself running at full speed and decide, oh, so that's what I'm chasing. It rarely happens that way, but I suppose it could. Most often you pursue things because you have intended. What's the point of pursuing something? To capture it. You run after, you chase it down. And so when you pursue something casually, I'm not sure that's a pursuit. It might be an endeavor, but I don't know that I would classify it as a pursuit. When I think about pursuit, I think about Olympic athletes. I am myself not one, but my observation is there are no gold medal winners who have been casual about pursuing their sport. Casual pursuit probably is going to create a hobby that is probably transitory. Because another front, there are no world-class concert pianists who casually pursued the piano. Because it comes to my mind, I'll use Yo-Yo Ma. He's considered the finest cellist in the world today. Let me just tell you, Yo-Yo Ma did not become the finest cellist in the world today with a casual commitment to the cello. He got there by practicing 8-9 hours a day with intention. This is true of anybody at the top of their game and at the top of their sport, at the top of their pursuit. See, it's pursuit is the key. They, with intention, they go after. And Paul says, first he says, go after righteousness. How do you go after righteousness? Well, righteousness, first of all, has to do with a lifestyle, a pattern of behavior rooted in the character of an individual. To have a righteous character means that on one level, it's just this simple. Break the word apart. Right? Yes. I choose what's right. I choose it over what's wrong. If I want to be righteous, there's a kind of a thin difference between always needing to be right and always, to the best of my pursuit, to choose what is right. That's a big difference. I know a lot of people that always want to be right, but they don't very often choose what is truly right. Where do you go to find what is truly right? You go to the standard. And for us, because we're followers of Christ, we go to His Word. I've been reading the Bible seriously for almost 60 years, and I still don't have it figured out. I talked about this last time, I think. I lost a dear friend to death who he spent 20 years daily in now my brain is not being helpful to me. Kidney dialysis. You virtually can't do anything else but dialysis when you're in dialysis. And he did something else. He memorized the entire New Testament. Totally amazing. And he could tell you the chapter and usually the verse when he quoted. I was in awe. Why did he do that? He was pursuing righteousness. And if you don't know what's right, how can you pursue righteousness? This is a challenge. I don't know that anybody can afford to believe that they've got all the right knowledge of the right that they need. There's another side of it. I'm going to take another 10, 15 seconds to say it, that you probably know enough of what is right that if you acted on what you know is right, it would produce behaviors of righteousness. And Paul says, let us live up to what we've already attained, and that's what that's about. But on the other side, you're never going to know everything there is to know about what's right. So the challenge is to keep pursuing righteousness. I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.